Right now, our system is pretty centralized. We've not revealed how everything works. You can't really query the chain, which we call the vault, but there will be a lot more information on this soon, probably in the next quarter, to be honest. But what we can tell you, though, is that the plan is to be able to put it on several chains, the popular ones. So, and to be able to do so very easily.
Who will be responsible for the new project? Will it hinder the development progress of BigTime?
No, not at all. It really won't. In many ways, it's actually going to make things easier. I mean, the reality is we have had huge plans for our marketplace, and this is something we always wanted to staff. And by forming a customer client relationship between OpenLoot and BigTime, it's a really good way of setting goals and setting prioritization. Like one thing I can tell you guys is that by doing it this way, by looking at BigTime as a customer, it is much better for goal setting, and it really helps with things like recruiting prioritization. It feels like at times we just didn't always recruit as effectively as we wanted to for the marketplace. So this is a really good step. Now on the marketing side, we get the benefit of economies of scale. This is definitely a thing in advertising, but when we go to an influencer and we aren't just pushing ourselves, but we're pushing 4 or 5 games, it makes our marketing way more effective. You can argue that the advantages in the marketing, and by the way, guys, if you don't know this, marketing is the most expensive part of any game. It's anywhere between 60 and 80% of the spend. So just by being able to go to Google or Facebook or influencers with 3 or 4 titles, we can really, really reduce costs. So I would say it's not going to hinder development at all. If anything, it's going to make things a lot better. It's going to focus everyone on the right objectives, and it's going to bring economies of scale to the marketing.
We are a guild which have been investing and working on BigTime for 8 months, so I want to know why you studio plan to launch OpenLoot. What is the synergy between BigTime game and OpenLoot? It means your team will shift your focus from BigTime to OpenLoot. Many guilds of BigTime among us are pessimistic for this issue. Thanks.
Effectively, what's happening is we're announcing OpenLoot. Many of us that were doing all of these things for BigTime anyways, we're just now doing it where we've sort of formed it as a service. So all of these things that were happening for BigTime anyways are now happening. We're just extending that service. We've really increased the hiring. It's a bigger team. It's going to set better goals. We're going to basically treat BigTime as a customer, even though we're all working together. So if anything, on the marketplace side, all things can get better. You're going to have more people to play with. You're going to have more people to interact with on the marketplace. You're going to have more games to play. And economies of scale absolutely is a thing for marketing.
Which gaming projects would you like to use your services, and what does the target audience look like? And is there anyone who wants to use your service already?
Right now, we're mostly talking to your Web3 games who who have a lot of experience building games, but are now starting a new studio on a mission to start Web3. We would gladly take a Web2 game. A lot of them don't do it just because when you think about it, if you have a good Web2 model, right, where the users really are just giving you money and you're not really giving them much back in terms of an NFT, they don't want to change that, right? So eventually, I do think we will end up working Web2, but right now it's sort of the Web3 revolution, and we're working with all the game publishers that are all in on Web3. Yeah, we have 3 tremendous partners. If you go to openloot.com, you can see them. We're going to give like a detailed announcement, and there's going to be a lot of information coming out. By the way, I should actually just take a moment to tell everyone here, make sure you follow us on Twitter at OpenLoot, and make sure you join our Discord, because if you want to hear about all sales for BigTime or any of the other companies you're working with, you're going to hear from OpenLoot. So make sure you are following us now. But yeah, we're going to be putting out a lot of information. We're going to be hosting a lot of AMAs with the new game studios we're working with. So you're going to hear about all of that really, really soon. And it's super fun and exciting. And also, let me say too that these games are outstanding. We have really held, because our game is fun, we've been able to attract the right kind of game that is most similar to us.
What would the integration look like from the point of view of big time players?
Yeah, so effectively, one day you will not go to NFT.BigTime.gg, you'll go to OpenLoot and it will behave the way it is. When you open our launcher, you'll see more than one game. And there'll be some level of interaction between games on the marketplace. You'll be able to buy other stuff in other games. You'll be able to cash out in one game and buy stuff in another game. It'll all be very seamless.
What are the networks and blockchains available for transaction in OpenLoot? When was OpenLoot started? Did OpenLoot face any attack in the past?
So right now we use our proprietary vault technology. That's what we use right now. It's not super open. It's something we are still developing. Um, when was OpenLoot started? I guess you could argue that the marketplace team started as OpenLoot, but now it's becoming its own thing. So you could argue that OpenLoot went live with, well, I guess our marketplace went live in early December, and now we're just renaming it OpenLoot, making its own thing. So that's about the amount of time that's been in operation. Have we faced an attack in the past? I mean, you'd be surprised. We get all kinds of crazy like inbound traffic. If you want to call like those attacks, then sure, because we've seen things where there's just been huge traffic spikes, but there's never been something like successful or something that has like stolen information or damaged our systems.
OpenLoot seems like a project that will help companies integrate their product with Web3 infrastructure. How will big time players benefit from this? How will this improve the value of what we have already invested in big time?
The more games that we're working with, that means there's more players who will then be able to easily play big time. That means there's more players you're going to be able to interact with in the marketplace. That means there's more games that you'll be able to play seamlessly. So we're really hoping to take advantage of economies of scale.
Would it be possible that the marketplace in OpenLoot have connections with big time tokens? Example, if you want to purchase other partner games companies NFTs, you can use big time tokens.
What I can tell you is that if I have big time space and I wanted to sell that on the marketplace and I now have a balance in our USDC, and then I wanted to use that to then acquire an NFT, another game, it's very likely you will be able to do that. As for spending the token, there are some specifics there. So I don't have a really great answer there, but there are some specifics that we're looking into. But I can tell you for sure, the general idea is that this is your account. You can move from having an NFT into something like USDC, and then you can use that USDC on the same platform to buy something already. So that should be possible. But the token, I don't know.
Does OpenLoot's service look like IMX is an L2 solution? If not, what's the difference? Or maybe the service is like a Steam or Epic platform.
So effectively, the way we describe OpenLoo is like this: we have our proprietary vault technology, which enables game developers to mint NFTs, and we will be providing players the ability to know what they own is verifiably scarce, and that you can move those NFTs to different chains. So that's basically the way it works. So it's sort of like a combination of the two.
Is there demand for what OpenLoot is offering? And how about competition? It feels like you have none and you created something new.
First of all, is there demand for what we're offering? Oh yeah, 100% there's demand for what we're offering. We already have three game publishers on board who will be announcing. Um, and there now we are not alone though. There are a fair number of competitors doing this. There's a fair number of competitors who are live, and it's often said in entrepreneurship, if you don't have any competitors, you probably shouldn't be doing what you're doing. So this is a highly competitive segment. We see this as the future of gaming. From now for the next like 3 years, I think you're going to see many of these emerge. And I think our early advantage is we feel like we've got a good thing. We feel like we can leverage this, and we feel like if we use what we have, and we leverage what we have, we can bring in a couple more games, or maybe like a half dozen more games that are similar to Big Time in terms of quality, in terms of fun, and we can really be a force in this space for years to come.
Will your technology have a token that will unite all projects you partner with?
we're going to have a platform that's going to unite all players and many projects, but there are some details we can't get into in regards to the tokens. There's a lot of game publisher specific decisions that need to get made, but in terms of ease of transaction with USDC, that should be a thing.
How do you plan to convince the big community of Web 2 gamers into Web 3, especially in open loot?
This may be the best question. And it's also the greatest challenge. Y'all know we've been doing a lot of Twitch play and stream. And we can tell you that the gaming space isn't totally on board with NFTs yet. A lot of people, when they think of NFT, they're not aware of something like BigTime, right? Everyone's very busy, everyone has a lot going on, and they only know a little what they hear. And as far as they know, NFTs are just, really expensive JPEGs. So what we really need to do to make our game a success is we have to make a really fun game, which we feel as much fun as any other game. And it's also good if we have more than one. I think that as we are able to make a game like that and we're able to grow our community and people are able to buy something in a game where they're able to participate in the value chain, people will start to see that this is just a far better way. If you think of it, last year, I think the number I always quote is like there was $190 billion spent in games. And what everyone got was probably a pretty good experience, right? Everyone enjoyed themselves. Everyone felt like they spent money and they had a good time. But no one was really able to say I own what I bought. No, there wasn't really resale value. So I look at I feel like what this industry is building is kind of like the car compared to the horse and buggy. This is where it's going. Everyone knows it. Will Big Time Space have utility in future games? It's a possibility that would be a decision on another game team, but we would be able to do something like that. We could absolutely do something like that. It's tricky, but it's certainly possible. And in terms of how we've organized this structurally, what I can say is for now, you can think of it as there's two teams. There's the big time team, there's the open loop team, and some of us preside over both. We'll have more information on the structure in the future.
What can us as players of Big Time currently have to look forward to with Open Loop? Are there going to be any benefits for the players aside that have been investing into this game preemptively and supporting from a very early on time?
Basically, there's indirect benefits and then direct benefits, right? So indirect benefits are if we bring on a big game and they have a big community, then you have more people to play with. You have more people to interact with on the marketplace. You have more games that you can then play within the same environment, right? Through the same launcher. So those are, let's call those the indirect benefits. Now, in terms of direct benefits, as we talk to games, that's a decision for them to make, right? They can turn around and say, well, gee, we want to do a whitelist, and if we wanted to if they wanted to do a whitelist, and they said, well, we want to offer something to people who did X, Y, and Z. That's a decision for them to make, and that's a decision that would make a lot of sense for them to make.
For us who have NFTs that are on the market now that are, say, up for sale, you said it happened in about 6 to 8 weeks, the integration, I guess, over to OpenLoot from BigTime.gg, where we are now. And so those ones that are up for sale, will they just automatically go over?
Yeah, I mean, it's more like a name switch than it is integration. You're just gonna one day you won't go to BigTime.gg. You're just gonna go to OpenLoot. Your account will still work. You don't have to do anything. You're not gonna lose anything. You just go to OpenLoot. All of your anything that you've listed for sale is preserved. It's more like a renaming, and it appears on a new website.
There is no plan though for a token to go cross games.
A lot of those things they sound good, but one of the trickiest things, right, is you have to balance your economy. You have to make your economy make sense. And when you start to have a singular currency crossing all of these different games, it can really get weird real quick, especially if you're really trying to build fun games first. But for now, I don't know that there's a plan for that. I don't know that there's a plan for that. There is a plan for a BigTime token. The specifics in terms of irregular games, I have no announcements for that.
I think best way to describe it is there's going to be more to follow, and look at OpenLoot as a way to bring high quality Web 2 games into Web 3 with all of those stumbling blocks that Web 3 comes associated with. But thank you very much.